Hello, species value nature system. I'll talk to you about value in Santa Claus. When you hear it from me first before a little rap guy and friend. So as we've been discussing with the YouTube channel Anthony Wall, A.K.A. Romulus, excuse me. So we're discussing also species coach. And we're going to use, reparations as our training tool to gain everybody's reparations. But that's a very easy to show originally and still how branches were liars and calling other people liars. Still to date, using the phrase perfect world, using the phrase worldview, and we're using the word cooperation criminally, with criminal foreign influences and with physical delusions as victims, but as victim predators, overt predators too. Overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed with and as uses of and roles with and as that, making opinions, no, not as science, not as honest science, and pretending that science just because it has the most tools. Fox CT, WFSB, recorded, lifted through time, already many natures of crime acts, bonded, specifically to maintain roles with methods of the same old things, with through lipogressions engineered, originally and still, religion fill. You see the homes right next to the campus of Harvard Hospital, criminally involved, all the other hospitals. So these opinion natures where a minority's keeping the majority, victim predators, invested to fake sides of correlation nature, each age of fact treatment nature through a crime method of bonded crime methods, and rolls with it, not originally and still not letting free speech. That was just one teach. So one thing we're going to do as a species coach, I want to show you how each can't tell other nations what to do, but they'll want to do it. Because we can do this with the science of pantheism, about the identity that the sciences share. See, they have states and areas defending religions tactically, criminally wrong, so they can steal people's free speech and pretend other people make overall allegations about the substance of the allegation of what people say when they're talking about formal corruption originally still. And in other words, and that is appreciating, not by accident, bonded many natures of crimes and of criminals and of easy means to get all the many names, hundreds of names as jobs, forced reliant upon what other people tell them, to spots measured where they walk even. Everyone. Each age of fact treatment nature, each individual grouped / sexes, together, sequentially and progressively. Identity thefts, roles. That's what it is. We have high predators working with justice systems of modern nations, sickly, distinctly, specifically because an ancient, semi-ancient trap knew that to have that defended, they could perpetually maintain areas grouped sick enough that they could keep everyone only realized invested, having blamed already and blaming the real causes of negative value nature, progressions, acts of nature, all the things others themselves. So we'll examine what has because this also has the concept, the value of education, bonded consciously, only realized, voiced by theater natures. The natures of theater positive. With that, also within as the criminal exploitation of each age of fact treatment nature, per time impositions, because adults have to work. The kids were left originally still with this off campuses maintained and stayed on off campuses, then again in layers. colonists A through Z, and Native Americans A through Z. Colonies A through Z, and states, early states, and states A through Z. Criminally foreign influenced and tactically delusions wrought victim predators. Opinion natures, conviction natures, personal and formal. They can't defend that and then us at the same time. And their quality of fact treatment nature from correlation nature simultaneously inherent active and progressive means as Trinity nature. As what they're trying to obfuscate, and worse than having obfuscated with crime acts and crime methods recorded originally and still left entrenched criminal uses of various natures of courts and other family members, each person, each age of fact treatment nature. On and off campus, we're going to have the same natures of crimes occurring because they have criminal uses of them. They have undercover positions, pretended for things, even when especially when they catch real things, because they're doing the same things with, in other words, they're using positions to lie that are legitimate, enforced, maintained, manifest, needed, not by accident, right through generations. Overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed. What really most was facilitating originally and still the overt criminal enterprises is recorded this. Their crime roles needing to hide the same lie progressions, finite lies. See how the smallest thing has an order to it before it. Then has the order and it has the value of the smallest thing. That is the value simultaneously, body of value discernment. Invisible but clear. As simultaneous nature's discernment. Because Allah, per science, perfect value progression, as the identity of perfect value progression, self-generating that bonded matter. Before something collided with itself, like a Big Bang theory, even gas, even something has to be generated. Now, this is why the most important part of the Old Testament is talk about how is about how the sciences share an identity, and it says it's the most important part. It's why the most important part of the Quran, before the debatable parts, it's got unbelievers and it's got believers who are disagreeing with the takes on the quote experts of Islam. It's got them with the obligation to stand up, not pray in that mosque. It's got them obligated. So the alphabet, now here's the secret now. The secret of the alphabet. The alphabet is a God's equation about three natures of each letter at once, about the Trinity, and about the identity of a little bit more of a semi-nature, of a complete nature, the only complete nature, and of the only complete nature, only going to stay complete nature relationship to itself. The only complete nature's complete relationship to itself comes in where that connects with all other semi-natures. That makes where and how couldn't be that, makes it a little bit more and more of itself. Anyway. So the alphabet is about the God equation, value G. See, now we're going to learn the letters, algebraic consciousness, we're going to learn the letters distinctly and non-distinctly, how they are letters, how they are value, nature, and inside values nature. Perfect value progression. And we'll examine the 5 semi-natures of Allah per science. It does not deny any part of the Quran. it does deny the Quran and the Old Testament mistreatments of the sequence nature of it. Then you're evaluating parts of it out of sequence. Now, this is distinctly and non-distinctly why the Quran is a right to left language, and why English is left to right, and why Latin laws are juxtaposed with English laws overall up. Like the not defended right to be able to write your way out of prison if there's, like, say, exculpatory evidence that could free you. You know, you're put in there wrongly. See, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police officer, I'm not a criminal. Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, he was put into prison by interbranch recording names, forging names through time, crime acts with databases. Then when people say that, they revert to that from the background, making things up. If they try to go in court, they forge names, switch names. They have wire crime methods, not just crime acts. They have mail crime methods, not just crime acts. When I say they have already used the phrases, the perfect world, worldview, and cooperation criminally, they have been doing that with they've used it criminally with their treatments of Manafort. Note Paul Manafort Drive on the southern side of CCSU. We're going to follow CCSU's crimes interdepartment tied to recorded and confessed and demonstrated with various houses on first, then we'll do off of it, of Church Street in Old Weathersfield. Crimes with databases through time. Identity thefts. Crimes with cases. These are people with crime acts roles as intercampuses crime acts clicks leading up to also crimes and cases and intercampuses through time. Illusions, in other words. And with depositions, criminal uses of depositions, criminal uses of lawyers, recorded, conscious, criminally maintained fake sides of fact treatment natures, acting with areas tied to ruled crime rackets, offensive evidence reception crimes, acting, pretending to perceive things, pretending to have already into databases, just typing and letting stuff typed into databases criminally. People tied to fake relationships to others, which he finally admitted, semi and completely, but with shifting narratives and crime roles with child sex offenders. Joshua Julian, I don't know at all, and a Mike Kerr, I don't know. I never had a class with them in my life. I barely know them, only from context where they were recorded to confess with his brother, and the Joe DeMoro with his brothers, and the ones from Rocky Hill recorded to confess with many others, 2 twin brothers. Then we get into their sisters and stuff like that, and girls that I never had conversations with that tried to pretend other because they had sexual circles involved per them, per recorded, involved with identity thefts. In other words, they take a picture of me standing in one place one time and they try to act something to make it look like something appeared in the past so they can discredit what I'm saying now. Like, for example, with neighbors of an Ian up the street with houses associated, recorded, confessed, involved with FBI crimes, and collects with federal criminal co-defendants, a former director of the FBI, who were criminal with his daughter in my grade, and with other people in my grade who were criminally involved with federal criminal co-defendants of them lived next to them. Like an Eric Jensen lived in Newington next to I forgot one of the co-defendants, federal criminals, like pension thief, involved with a whole bunch of other natures of crime acts and roles against me and other everyone. Even with, and this is also recorded how they have women who were victims as kids, roles with men and women, judges in courts, all the men and women in the courts involved with child sex offenders, identity thefts, uses of prisons to prevent people from speech, by them wire crime acts, forging names, switching names, when they're caught, to prevent someone from trying to use the law properly first, because it's going to catch them with it. They arrest them, fake to switch officers' names, have fake arresting officer into database, not letting response because in the background they're still stacking lives. Now see, this is with the Dillon family too, with foreign and domestic military, intercity, through time, and then criminally leading up to the Trade Center attack into the Ninth Circuit, proven sequence shift, proven after, post-dated documents from inside the court shown to the panel of judges that day. Those same actors further criminally tied to crimes in outside of the Trade Center and the Ninth Circuit the night before and leading up to it. And regarding narratives with the investigators. Now, see, these are also investigators' crimes with Sandy Hook / Newtown. Remember, there was a shooting at that school there. These are also crimes with child sex offenders with the schools further, forced with the leaders. Also by women judges, forging, switching names, attaching me and others to fake conversations, sequence shifts, preventing us the right to free speech, pretending just to make the right to make sound, sequence shifting, switching their names, forging names, identity thefts per them, their crime acts in other cases leading up to, before that, per their crime acts outside of courts leading up to that, per their crime acts with some of them with databases, with all of them with databases, with my campuses recorded and confessed by the campuses I went to, each of them. See, these are from off campuses and then on off campuses maintained. So there were also both the corners of the street of the principal sex offender, who they're recorded torturing, and not to say anything about how they forced worse with his campus first, and him, they not to be told on, criminally. This is because we have interbranch families, and we have on-off campuses, interdepartments like education, that is trained to work with experts that are and have been using them and their family members criminally already through time for identity thefts. Many tied to a ILO family, and also with the DeMauro criminally involved with on-off CCSU, Trinity College, crimes with various natures of courts and their police, leading up to the 2006 case with former director of the FBI. That's recorded criminally involved with their treatments of the word cooperation and of perfect world. Also with state police and with a Phil Cololo and other doctors and medical people associated with criminal justice and stuff like that, Washington crimes, Trade Center crimes further, and child sex offenders, and identity theft collects, and with other extended relatives of a Cololo family, with 2 police chiefs in my town, one from years ago, with ties to the house criminally too, and with other towns' departments, police departments criminally involved, and these also ones involved with the mother of one of the child sex offenders, involved with crimes with further with doctors tied to a Leahy family, recorded and confessed crimes with a Casper family with identity theft, sequence shifts with them, crimes with them with Russians, also with Fox CT, and with their policing of the clubs downtown and intercampuses, also on-off Wesleyan, on-off UConn, on-off policing of the stores, especially with the drug stores, tied to the clothes, with the extended family members, with the identity thefts. Just because someone's in my class and they know that I was in locations before, they're criminally attaching what they pretend that they believe that means, and the amount of time and the sequence relationships to that, tied to their crime acts and uses of it in cases, and with child sex offenders, because the Phil Collow was also recorded and confessed by people associated with the forensics lab and a Bob Chase, and you know, doctors and prisoners who were with courts online and with interbranch before that. Crimes with sex crimes, identity theft crimes, sequence shifting crime rules. You know, we have various nations grouped all together, predators with psychology's physical delusions, which I'm going to help you delineate. So what we're going to do is we're going to monetize a method that is going to stack so many means and means to afford them for New York City. For example, training what colonization was about. And we're going to switch the colors for it so we could afford the means to bring in, like, we need the locations too, as there is, but we can't accept it. We know what impositions are going to be when we say we try to help. See, the way they have it, oh, you help this type of thing. Because they have criminal use that, in other words, not what they have called education and called science is involved with criminal exploitations of each age of fact treatment nature, the progression, where they're going to walk, time, their value, time, worse than devalue everyone in New York. Not by me. I'm going to be the species coach. That's why we're going to have. We're going to have part of it owned by. You know, we're going to have it owned by a plan. So we're all going to be on the same page, and we're going to get the whole species to do it at once. You know what you could do with lift water, have it come down, just keep turning. When you put a magnet around a coil, it generates electricity. Well, they have a big hydroelectric dams. They stack all that water up there, so it's not going to run out. It's going to keep flowing through the pipe at the bottom that's open, turning the turbine that's turning a magnet around a wire, and that's making the electrons or what it is jump from the magnet into the wire. And then they're taking it and holding it, and then they're sending it out, and they're charging for it, and they're keeping everything going. And every modern nation is in a value nature system that they call markets positions, that are not by accident, simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, worse than obfuscating the actual value nature system that is inseparable from every value we are, especially regarding fact treatment nature. And so we're going to have to, the campus Marcius, we're going to have to make a name. We'll also have a game we can make too. In other words, to afford the means to make what? Paradise. Why not when we could afford it? But just not through this not free system anyways. Anyway. They have isms like capitalism and like communism. Recorded fake sides, crime natures with all kinds of natures of crime bonded, and physical delusions bonded with psychology. Conspiracy theorists, offensive misprisions, same time, blaming others for what they do. Sequence shifting. Because then when that's noted by the people, then they have to sequence shift. And they use experts criminally. See, there's a need to have experts, but then there's a need to be able to demonstrate when experts are being used criminally. And see, they've been doing that through crime methods and influences, left legalized, but they're not legalized if you allow free speech. Like anyone even entertaining their narratives with Jim Crow laws. They're going to have to hide lies, delusions, and criminal foreign influences, and worse with their premise treatments. When they even try to describe what they think black or white is about, which is about what it really is about the only semi-nature that is simultaneously positive unto itself, always by and as itself, which is in demonstration of the extent we are as a little bit more of a positive or negative value as a nature of volume, relationship to a little bit more of the semi-nature of Allah, as a complete nature relationship to itself, as the phenomenon of a complete nature, maintaining itself manifest, coming through immediate space nature, as a little bit more forever nature, positive or negative to itself, as the difference of immediate space nature, Earth's value, as more of it gained here for and as its perfection, as positive onto its perfection, or is a little bit more of it forced from here, length of IDs, as negative value nature, forever nature, as temporary positive. Temporary positive, and how it is simultaneously lasting positive or negative, is in demonstration of how temporary positive is a trinity. It is three natures of volume. When we are caring for it, as they haven't done since ancient times, since semi-ancient times, it is individual nature of volume care. First, in sequence, true first, nature no, and then it is simultaneously, when it's first that, it's simultaneously and it's also positive to itself as that, it's also simultaneously positive as grouped simultaneous nature, invisible but clear, body of value discernment, and physical body of value discernment. That's why we are body of value. That's why bodies of life are bodies of value. That's why science deals with identities of value, bodies of value. See, but this course is obfuscated. There are proofs that that how they have the I don't know who first did it with art. The good devil, bad devil. That could have been tied to what Santa Claus was being asked to help them figure out how to defend, which is means to defend positions on the law where they didn't have free speech, the church. States and areas are not supposed to be allowed with the church attached to the convictions of the branches of government, so we could have it real, so we could have individuals defended when they need to demonstrate religious rights not permitted. We have sick natures with psychology, misprision, a whole bunch of people that are working with pseudo healthcare, and as ones with badges, already long progressed, maintained on off campuses, each age of factory with nature, victim, predator tools, breaching screens and weapons, fake patriotism natures. The database is tied identity of ground and value of progression, fake sides of the identity of correlation nature, which is a trinity. With and as this, of course. Then as the species body of value, volume, nature of volume, simultaneously. This trinity is three semi-natures in demonstration of the only semi-nature that completes them. And the only one that completes them is a semi-nature, so we can see that and how. Value nature is inside values nature. Perfect value progression. So that needs to value, and to keep all the other police forms valuing, all the other natures of court valuing, the perfect world sabotaged, knowingly having been known sabotaged. Pretended that they believe standing up for the Constitution is some kind of a contrast. Where and how, too, Russians and Americans are recorded Trade Center crime acts roles, hiding it by using their crimes together with campuses, like medical campuses, fire campuses, used for databases, crimes, identity theft, sequence shifts, fake conversations, forging names, switching names, formal drug crime roles, overt gangland drug crime roles, live progression cover-up drug sequence shifts with them, identity theft with them, overt criminal enterprises. And these left by our founders to demonstrate we need free speech. WFSB, Fox CT, recorded, confessed being coached and having been coached since before 2006 and before that. But crimes leading up to a 2006 case with federal criminals associated with a Faenza Dillon clique, and O'Brien's criminally involved with them, and a Phil Clough criminally involved with them with identity thefts, and with a Scalora family, crimes with them with child sex offenders, and the Scalora family interstate, crimes with the Trade Center attack context, intercampuses, on-off CCSU with their private police, and with on-off campus New Britain Police, Hartford Police, West Hartford Police, forms, military police forms, foreign and domestic, training of criminal justice police and narratives with those people that walk around prisons, sick predators, and with their family members. They have no integrity. They value themselves as having jobs. They say because they have money. They're extortion methods. These are crime methods in their department at CCSU, with a number of ways facilitated with the crimes and the people associated with the crimes at the corner of, the rest of the street too, but with the corner of Church Street and Main Street in Old Weathersfield. Then with the Old Town Cafe, with the Washington Trade Center, and CCSU federal crimes, predicate acts rolls cracks, with child offenders, drug collects, crimes, predicate acts, and various natures of crimes on off Trinity College and CCSU were the same ones. With on off campuses crimes, offensive evidence, illusion stacking, crimes with UConn, crimes with lawyers, recorded, used criminally to set fake sides, illusions into place. Criminal uses of cases where they have fake sides of both sides of the cases used as the people of crime rolls with also New Britain Police, Hartford Police, with shootings of people. And then with their narratives wanting to defend themselves in courts that are already criminally involved with them. We need federal stewardship of Connecticut, of the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices, of the businesses next to schools like Buckley High, tied to the Joe Aiello family, with all kinds of Puerto Rican overt criminal enterprises and Italian criminal enterprises, and the witness protection program, and on private criminal enterprises recorded with them, in collusion with predicate acts like mail crimes, wire crimes, and mail crime methods, wire crime methods involving interbranch forging and switching names, crimes with child offenders, crimes not letting that reported, crimes pretending to be against that at the same time, pretending to recorded. So they have narrative, criminal uses, coaching of the sensibilities of all the news correspondents, recorded pseudosciences, consciously, criminally foreign influenced to, criminally persuaded to, tricked to, hurt to, and worse. To need to hide life progressions, need to hide their actual natures, the way they have sensibilities. They're being coached to identity thefts, not letting free speech, pretend, fake both sides of stories, news, at the same time while courts are doing that. With their drug clicks, too, through time, criminally evolved, pretend they had fake conversations behind my back. Also how they use women police forms in families. And forget about it. They stack too many names with them people sick. So respond to any one of these crime acts right here in the comments. Who disbelieves? Give me the name. Have them pick one name in sequence and get down into branch. I'm not playing now because I have the controls to the FBI, to the Attorney General now. Because the FBI played wire crime acts roles. Now they're recorded crimes with the term cooperation, with various natures police, and with the term perfect world. Let's go. These are also crimes with the body dumping spotted Billy Grasso and indirect criminal uses of the Witness Protection Program in the area, other FBI with the area, other CIA and their family members, per them too, having fake conversations with me. They weren't repeating what I said too, because I watched them all pretending their conversation because their ties to the strangers with the confessions recorded anyways and confirmed online, tied to the Klotz family down the street and Kathy Tansey and their roles, crimes with the Kerr family and with the DeMoro family and with the judges and with various natures of police and their family members, interbranch, through time, criminally involved. A Schumack family. Criminal uses of the Wethersfield Police Department by male and female doctors in police forms with child sex offender roles, because they're just looking out for titles that are worthless originally still, and they're juxtaposed with foreign and domestic doctors and their little drug cliques and social cultural cliques that are used for recorded, pretending they care against prejudice as little sick natures. Recorded all natures of, with a corner of so then they get the sensibilities of more and more people, like the corner of Town Line Drive, those businesses and stuff like that, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, being coached, crimes just like Fox CT is being coached, with whatever the extent we're gonna have to look into, with all they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crimes with people associated with a Mulcahy family. Till Mulcahy, I never had a conversation with Alison Mulcahy. Never had a class with her in my life. She's recorded and confessed with two Mendez brother crime roles, with other police with them associated other brothers with police families criminally involved. John Maiano, criminally involved with various natures of fake news crime acts, and with the child sex offenders, and with sequence shifts, and with the various natures of courts, one-way reports. Also real or made up on the unsolved mystery, some girl dragged by a car, recorded and confessed with crimes tied to all these people criminally involved with the area on and off the state judicial branch offices, and with a Maria Fazzino with sequence shifts. I never met her in high school. I met her as a stranger making confessions with others tied to Two Rod Highway and to Hangdog Lane, recorded and confessed, involved with courts criminally and with police forms criminally, with his Dillon family and association with them criminally, with drugs, of overt criminal enterprises, and of unrealized ones juxtaposed, because they have all kinds of sequence shifts, identity theft, crime acts, methods. Then they want to pretend they have the integrity to deal with issues when they're recorded, still forging names, switching names, and needing to lie to the Attorney General. So Sessions needs to beat them down with his pen. And Donald Trump is right. They never had integrity. He didn't say that. He didn't say that. But that's recorded. And if you let him have free speech, he tried to ask you, how many of you know or have seen a director of the FBI as a defendant in a case? We'll also examine their criminal uses of money streams and of policing of that and of sensibilities with this. Sense and sensibilities. We'll also examine Jane Austen. We can stack so many things. We have a business and we just need, you'll get fame. We need someone who's going to be our business advisor. We're going to set it up and then all the money is going to be watched because no one's going to own it except for the plan. Which is what? We're not going to go, well, we're going to do this for the girls. We're going to do this and see what happens. We know we're going to treat it as we're in worse than below acceptable revolutions losses. And you're going to hear your history true. And you're going to see and you're going to discern what is insidiously exploiting the theater only let shown, and how that is motivated, needed by them per their only let realized roles with lie progressions, and as lie progression cover up natures, again as fake sides of the identity of correlation nature trinity. Yes, Plus course return. I'll drop the force, surging through all things alone. So then we could do like, with training. How many people would help if we have an organized New York admitting that everything's sick together at once and we are helping? How many people would jump to help New York united? Never imaginable per the design of it. See, we're gonna see the fixed. Try to make a city. We're gonna understand that we need reliefs that were long forsaken. We have tortured people in New York, legalized, which is criminally legalized. I'm going to demonstrate to you. I don't even need to be a lawyer. See sequence shifts. Let's start with the sequence shifts and the actors interstate, campuses, crime acts, then crime acts rolls with the Trade Center attack context. As criminal uses of co-defendants of and of the lawyer of and of the person of defendant and former director of the FBI, defendant Robert Luskin, in 2006 district court case involved criminally with other natures of courts and are all tied to them criminally involved. We're going to see their little sick themes. Like with programs, they had a rope program criminally involved in the past with the child offenders through time, now recorded. We brought it up too, untimely deaths, real or made up. That's what they have the fentanyl problems for. They have standing needs to adapt, and they never know which side they're going to have to adapt because they're maintaining each nation, blaming others and blaming themselves and having that maintained value by each nation because they share roles within as fake sciences, within as lie progressions to spots that they can't fathom and understand but through needs to defend means to get away with hiding that because they already did. They were raised as victim predators, how motivated to it, recorded. Here. That means appear. Here. It's Little Rico. It's Little Rico from Little Rap Guy and Friends. He comes in some episodes. So we'll examine how this is also connected to recorded criminal foreign influence transition from A.K.A. Organized Crime Control Act to RICO, Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. We'll examine how the predicate act is valued simultaneously while the predicate is value, and demonstration of simultaneous nature. We'll examine how the Quran and how the Old Testament are being valued, the back parts of it first, out of sequence, because our victim predators of criminally foreign influenced campus value, pseudoscience value defended, theater positive. Positive is the nature of science, because both positive and negative perfect the identity's value and value of relationship to itself. Which is more and more value here, or force from here, leave the 5 Ds. It's like the juice of an orange. The last value is going now with what is people stacking. What is really causing negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. What is really consciously maintaining, methodically maintaining that blamed on other and other things and on selves. That knew that this pathology of infrastructure means to it could only afford to value it. Fear. That means appear. So we'll examine this as our founders fact human nature slavery. Each age of it. So, hopefully we'll have, there's a lot of people in those big, huge buildings stacked on top of each other in New York City. To admit this and to organize as admitting it, we could simultaneously, that's simultaneously gaining value. And we're stacking values in there. We're going to put even artistic reliefs. How much money we could get just to heal New York if just New York admits it. And does the movies and stuff about it. Own for what? Simultaneously relieves. Then we make that. Then we have that to not just to dump into the same value nature system. To make what is timeless. To make what nothing could afford, even the richest people really can't afford. You ever see their ponds with little fountains? Pathetic. Shallow. They can't afford the depths because they want landscape theater. Each nature of industry is criminally foreign influenced. Each position of the ground is criminally used, originally and still. It's also important that everyone understands how our founders didn't have free speech. They had their identity stolen. That's recorded. It's recorded that, quote, experts, unquote, are pretending they don't realize that just because they stuck up the front of the Constitution. We have physical delusions into sciences, not by accident. We have victim predators that only saw theater on each age, not by accident, because lie progressions were sustained, needing each individual grouped / sexes and the entire everyone. Each identity of campus, each identity of location, each identity of family members, of families, seeing and hearing and thinking illusions, delusions, and what they see missing. How we have shared policing that is undercover and conviction natures of the law, identities of the law that can't defend that and be law. That is anything but negative value nature. So they can't take correlation nature simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive in greater means than that. And with sequence nature true. Fake branches sweep. It sweeps. Potential sleeps. So who believes? If we have one, even just one representative from any one borough or anywhere in the world who will stand up will help be their first, help ground, represent them because they don't believe yet. Too slow, New York game. And or your own stage area, because this species volume we're going to heal. There's a species coach. We need to take positions, though. You don't just go into the fight. We're going to train like we're going to go in the fight to win. Vaccines, begin. I'll fight too. One of the defendants of the former director of the FBI associated with crimes on Facebook and with the policing of Facebook and of all the online platforms, YouTube, fake pages pretending to be me. A picture they took from fake news, identity theft, fake both sides of the crimes. They didn't even communicate with me. They forced child sex offenders with that article still being used because they're juxtaposed natures of crimes. Because they have a whole bunch of types of experts that are also told to deal with things by other, natures of police forms and experts that are using them criminally. And they won't allow that demonstrated because they were already used criminally. They already broke the rules. You see what I'm saying? They did worse than that. So we're going to need a response here. I'm going to need to know. Also, Aurora, Colorado is involved with the Sandy Hook, criminally involved with my area, my town, intercity, on and off campuses with criminal justice, with psychology, with policing of the stores shared, with policing of the prison shared. So, Puerto Rico's sick. Puerto Rico, some sick mothers with psychology, with criminal justice, fake positive natures, culture sick natures, with crimes with a Puerto Rican Day Parade, and with Confederate flag themed crimes with child offenders. Who in Puerto Rico knows? What's his name? Sammy Vega. Respond to me here. Or Julian Solis, used to be bantamweight world champion. Respond, because I want to talk about some child offenders, also associated with things, probably why they killed what probably really was involved with too, or mixed with the involvements of the killing of Hector Macho Camacho. Puerto Rico, you're sick. Your campuses, not your people. You're with a species volume, but you're in a trap. Therefore, I rap. You think they're those morons with these zoning laws, fake sciences, were honest when they were preparing for what they should have been prepared for? When you're an island, get the hell out of here. Excuse me. Excuse my language. Respond now. Get into branch. Get them then get them to pick one name and sequence and down. Who disbelieves? Respond. Pick one. Let's go.